Hey everybody, welcome to Getting the Data, Part 1, Downloading the Data. So the way we're going to go through this course is by completing each notebook one at a time. And within each notebook, sometimes it'll take multiple videos to go through all of the sections. If it's a shorter notebook, sometimes it'll take less. So we're at the very beginning, and this is the first notebook that we'll be doing some coding, and it's called Getting the Data. So go ahead and open up Getting the Data notebook. And your notebook will actually look a little bit different than mine. So what I've done is removed a lot of the text from the notebooks whenever I do the live coding. And this is because I don't want to have you focus on all the text. I want you to focus on the code that I'm doing. That's the whole point of the videos, is that you can actually see and hear what I'm doing. You don't have to try to read along and see what I'm doing at the same time. So you're free to read the text obviously on your own time, and then watch the videos separately. So the notebooks will not look the same, so don't be alarmed. They will have, what I typically do is I just keep the headers so that you can follow along that way. And you can code along with me in your notebook. And then by the end, they should look fairly similar as the ones that you have. Okay, so in this video, we're going to be downloading the data. So we're only going to be doing up through exercise 1. There are more things in getting the data, but we will not be doing them in this particular video. Okay, so let's go ahead and see where we're going to get the data. And it's in this Johns Hopkins GitHub repository. So if you click on this link, it'll take you directly to the repository. So Johns Hopkins University has kindly compiled all of the country and US data, and it's in this folder, CSSE COVID-19 data. And within here, it's in the, what we're going to be using are the time series data. So if you click on here, you will get to this page. And there are 4 main data sets. So there's 4 separate CSV files that we're going to be using. There's confirmed US, confirmed global, deaths US, and deaths global. Confirmed is just another word for the number of infections, or what a lot of people just call cases. And the US is obviously just the US states, and global is all of the countries. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on one of these links. And what you'll see here is you don't actually see the data itself. What you need to do is go one more and look at the raw file. And then you'll get the link over here. You can even, I think the book says just to right click and to copy the link, so you can do that also. But it's a little tricky because you cannot just use this URL over here. So this is not where the raw, quote unquote, raw data is. This is a web page that has the data, but what we're looking for is just the actual data, and it's this URL that I've just copied. So let me go back over here, and it's this same URL right here. So I'm actually not even going to paste it. And so this is the one that we're going to be working with that actually downloads the data. And that's going to be exercise 1. Now, before we get there, I need to cover some naming conventions that we're going to be using throughout the course. So these are very important. I'm going to be using the words group, kind, and area over and over again. So the word group, there's going to be 2 different kinds of groups. It's either going to be the world or USA. So the world just represents all data from each country, and then USA just represents the US state data. So there's 2 separate groups. And then kinds will be either deaths or cases. I'm not going to use the word confirmed. So 2 groups, 2 kinds. And then I'll sometimes use the word area to mean, either one country or one state. So that'll be one individual country or one individual state. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this exercise and complete it. Now, if you're working along with the videos, I would encourage you to pause the video right now and then work through the exercise and then see if you get it right. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We're going to write a function that reads a single CSV and returns a data frame. The function accepts a kind and a group. And then we're going to use the variable download URL. So we're going to use this like constant, essentially, although it's not a constant because we're going to be filling in the kind and the group. And we will be, then we're going to be using it to download the data. So we're going to be using the pandas library to download the data. So one thing that the exercise says is that you'll have to reassign the values in the function of the URL to be correct. So Johns Hopkins doesn't use the word world and deaths. So if I look at the actual URL over here, you can see that they use confirmed and US, or deaths and global. All right, so what we're going to do here is the group will be one of either world or USA, and kind will be one of deaths or cases. So we need to convert the terminology for our course into the Johns Hopkins terminology. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And the way you're going to be answering the exercises is that you just come in here, you delete this pass command, and then you just write your code. So we're going to get the group and kind, and we'll say that the group, the way Johns Hopkins uses, is either US or global. And we can go back over here to the web page and see that. Let's go back one more time. So these are the groups they use, either US or global. So that's what we're going to be filling in this URL. So if you take a look at this URL, everything is filled out except for the kind and the group. So we'll just say the kind is going to be US, and that's going to be if it's for the Johns Hopkins, but it's going to be passed in either world or USA. So we're just going to overwrite the group. So if group equals USA, else global. Right, so those are the two choices here, either global or US. So this is like the Johns Hopkins group. And then the kind will be, oops, I executed that on accident. So it's going to be either, it's going to be cases, it's going to be confirmed if the kind equals cases. So if it gets passed in cases, it'll be converted to confirmed. Otherwise, it will be deaths. So deaths will remain deaths. And I'm just using a ternary expression here to do this in one line. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the URL. So I'm going to take the download URL. I'm going to call the format method on it. I'm going to say kind equals kind and group equals group. And what I'll do right now is, before this I finish the function, I'll just verify that this particular section works. So, and this is one way to do it. We can just have a return statement before we're finished. So let's just check that world and say cases will get me this. So confirmed underscore global. So let's go ahead and copy this. I'll go into my browser, paste it in the address bar. So this looks correct. At least it gave me a valid result. So that looks good. Maybe we could say USA and deaths. That should give us deaths US. So let's check this one. So again, I'm going to go up here and, well, I do have some data here. So it looks like it is a valid URL. I'm not getting a 404 error. If I was getting a 404, then something was wrong. All right, so the URL looks good. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to read it in with the pandas read CSV function. And then I'm just going to return that. So I'm actually very close. I can even do it like this. It'll just return. So I'm going to read the URL, and Pandas read CSV does know how to read URLs. Now it has to be a CSV. It cannot just be, you cannot give it the URL, from here. It can't just be a regular sort of web page. It actually has to be formatted in as a CSV. Okay, so okay, that time it showed it. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to see if it works. Let me just make sure I've executed that, and I'm going to execute this. And it appears that I have read it in correctly. So this is USA deaths, so I can give it a better name. I could say like USA deaths, and I will output the first 5 rows of that. So that's all I wanted you to do in exercise 1. Convert our terminology for group, which is world or USA, to the Johns Hopkins terminology, which is just US or global, and then deaths and cases to confirmed and deaths. So deaths doesn't change. Okay, so that is it for this. Oh, no, actually, what I wanted to show you is that, okay, this is very important, is that the solutions are in the solutions.py file. So you can open this up in your favorite text editor, or you can actually open it up using the Jupyter system. So if I go over here to the file system view, not the Jupyter Notebook, and I click on solutions.py, Jupyter has a simple text editor. And you can see over here, exercise 1. So I actually did it a little bit different. I use this, I use the dictionary to map the input to an output. And the current one, I used just a ternary expression. So, either way is fine as long as the values get changed. And then I did this all in one command. I formatted it. I used the format method the same way and returned the CSV. So either way, the way I did it just now or the way that it's in the solutions.py is fine. Or, if you have a different way, that might be okay as well. But what's important is that you need to look at the solutions at the end of each exercise. It's very important to look through them to see how I did it and make sure you did it correctly. Now, if you do not want to use this, if you do not want to answer the exercises, or you just want to use my solutions, what you can do is you can actually import the solution or the function from the solutions file. So this is just a regular Python module. So only run this code, this block, if you want to use my solution. And that's what this warning is about. All right, it says comment out the import line below if you attempted the exercise above. So if you want to use your version of the code and you're perfectly, within your right to do so, go ahead and do that. If you want to use my solution, then this will overwrite the download data function and will use the one from here. So it's literally going to import this function into your namespace and we'll use that. So here is an example. I just import from solutions and then I'm going to get the world deaths. So it's actually using the code from here and not what I just wrote, but it's going to go, to that URL. So you have to have a connection to the internet and grab the data. All right, so that's it for downloading the data, which was part 1 of the notebook, getting the data.